Hey guys, this is Clay with Texas Know-How. Today I'm going to change my charcoal canister in a 96 Land Cruiser. And the reason why is because I've been getting a lot of suction on the gas tank lid. When I take it off, it for a really long time, which basically means the fuel pump is pumping the fuel out, but it has no way to get air to replace that empty area, and so it draws a vacuum. And the place it would normally get air, I think, is through this ventilation system here, but I think these valves are stopping. They're stopped up on the top of this canister. So I'm going to pull the canister, and what I was going to show you is basically I unhook these hoses. There's a bottom hose right here that you have to take off. It's where this system draws fresh air, and it draws it from around underneath the frame somewhere. So I took off all these bolts around here, got my cable off right here, my throttle cable off right here, and then I can just lift this whole thing up and out of here like this. And this is the original one that was on there, but I'm going to replace it with a cheaper model that's plastic right now and see if it solves my problem. If it solves my problem, I may go ahead and invest in a genuine Toyota part, just because I'm kind of OCD like that. This one's a Denso brand. And these are all metal, these valves and everything. It's just kind of really nice. It's got a cover on the top here that kind of covers it to keep it, you know, clean and everything. It's just, I can't get that off right now without setting this down. Let's see. Yeah, I got it. But look in here. I mean, really nice valves. So, I mean, just a nice top-notch, application of a canister. Now, I actually live in a county where I don't have to have any kind of smog checks or anything like that, so technically I could probably just take this whole thing out of the system, hook these wires together, and let them breathe into the engine or something. You guys online, let me know if that would be dangerous, but I think right now what I'm going to do is take this to the bench. I'm going to take these band clamps off, put the other one in. I know it's a little bit bigger from everybody online, and then I'll put this back in here. Alright guys, so this is the replacement canister in here, and again, it doesn't have a bottom port on it. So I've heard of some people drilling a hole in here and actually putting that same bottom port that's on the original on here so you can hook up that hose. Right now, just to see if this is going to solve my problem, I'm actually wire tying this because I don't have any longer bolts on hand. Just tightening them up, making sure that it's going to hold on to the canister while I get it in here. One thing to note, if you pull it out and work on it, make these right here perpendicular to where this is, and that's lined up the way you want it to be lined up, so that when you go back in here it'll look right. Now we'll take some dikes and cut those off, and then we'll set it back down in here. Okay, I'm just going to show you the differences in these bottoms real quick. So that's the original one on my right hand over here, and that little hose comes right out of the bottom, and I'm thinking that's where it drafts new air actually to replace when the tank goes into a suction mode. It draws up from there, draws up from down in here, and replaces this one. If you see the bottom of it, it basically just has this little saucer here, and there's a whole gap around here that's drawing air. So it's going to draw air from right here in the engine bay. But we're going to put this thing back together, hook it up, and I'm going to do a couple of drives in the next few days, and just see how this thing responds, you know. See if we've taken care of that pressurization issue where my tank is getting the suction pressure on it, and we'll go from there. So we're going to get these bolts back in, and we'll get back with you when we hook it up. Now everybody online was telling me that this size of the hose right here, the one that goes to the tank, is a little bit bigger, the nipple, so it's a little bit of a workout to get it on there. But I think we can get it on there if we just wiggle it. Just right. Well, I may have to put a little bit of something on there, like a little bit of oil. And then look on there. Let's see if this one will go on. I think this one's the same size as the original. So it should, yeah, that one just goes right on. Okay, that one's good. This one's going to take a little bit of workout. See if I can kind of work this hose and massage it a little bit. Other thing you can do is kind of warm it up, but you got to be careful because there's fuel vapor coming out of this sucker from the tank. So if you was to use like an open flame or something, that could cause a problem. Maybe even an explosion. Alright, I got that on there. Let me get my pliers. Hose clamp's got to go quite a bit wider. So we almost got it. Move that up there. Okay, now we're good. So we're hooked on here. We got that hooked up. We're going to bring our cable back over from our throttle. And I believe we're all hooked up. I'm going to leave that bottom hose unhooked for just a little bit. And we're going to try this for a few miles. I'll get my bolts back in. And I'll report back to you guys and let you know if this solved my problem with the whooshing sound on the gas tank, as well as I think it might have something to do with my engine taking a little bit longer to start. Alright, quick update on this. Look, check that out. Not one sound. Not a whoosh, not a hiss, no suction on it. So that's definitely changed. And coming around here, the one thing that we wanted to point out on this was I couldn't use the bottom bracket on this, and I think somebody online mentioned that. The bottom bracket, when you have to spread it out so far for this bigger diameter canister, hits a wire loom, the bottom one does. So we just used a wire tie right now on the top bracket to hold this in nice and tight. It's really firm. Bolted it all back up. This hose right here, the one that goes back to the tank, is a little bit tougher to get on. And frankly, I just used a little bit of spit on it. I spit on the end of it and just wiggled it on. It went fine. The other one's the same size. So for right now, we're going to keep running this just the way it is. And oh, by the way, the main thing I was trying to fix, the startup, it's at least half the time now to start. So if it turned the engine over, say 7 times to start on average before, it's turning it over 2 to 3 times right now. So definite improvement. I say 50 to 60% improvement on the speed in which it starts. And again, my theory was, with this thing completely stopped up, as the fuel left the tank, because the electric fuel pump, it was creating a vacuum above the fuel. And that vacuum wasn't being able to be relieved by this hose because the valve on the top of that old one was stuck. So it was creating this huge vacuum. So I'd pull up and stop the engine, and that vacuum through the pump and everything would suck back all the fuel out of the fuel rail, and it would pull it back. So the injectors didn't have any fuel on top of them when you first come back the next time to start it. So it had to pump again and put the pressure back on the fuel rail to get the cylinders to fire. And that's why I think it was taking so long to run this thing. So we'll keep you in the loop on this. If it changes, I'll make another video. Otherwise, when your canister stops working and these get a lot of pressure on them, go ahead and change your canister. It seems simple, but a lot of people are wondering online what's going on. The canister makes a big difference. So, see you later.